Hey guys, how's it going? Today we're going to talk about the top 5 things that I found are kind of complicated for a beginner entrepreneur. These are the problems I experienced when I started wholesaling real estate, but to be honest with you, any business that you do, I feel like these are going to be the problems that you'll be experiencing because I'm not the only person that goes through this. I think this, if I give you my opinion on them, that might help you as well. These are in no particular order, but I think number 5 is the most difficult one. Alright, so number 1 is organizing or organization or keeping yourself organized. This is very difficult. So let's say you've been working a 9-to-5 job your entire life and you're like, okay, so I'm gonna jump in and become an entrepreneur or whatever, I'm gonna start my own business. But the thing is that when you're working for someone else, you kind of are held responsible for the duties that you have to do. But when you're working for yourself, you kind of are not answering to anyone besides yourself. Some people think that it's good to maybe have your plans shared with your friends or family, and then if you don't fulfill them, they can be like, hey, well, you've told that you're gonna do this and why haven't you done it? I don't particularly agree with that. I don't think that's the best way to actually do this, just because I think that when you share your plans with people, and your plans might be crazy, you know, like when I was starting this off and when I was starting my business, my plans were much higher than what people would think that as a 24-year-old businessman, that what I would do. So sometimes I do believe that it's not good to share your goals with people because not everyone can see those goals as the same way as you do. But in my opinion, the best thing you can do is actually try to hold yourself responsible yourself. And the way you do that, I believe, is by creating this mindset in your mind that why are you doing what are you doing. A lot of times when I was starting off, I think my biggest fuel when I was starting off is that I never wanted to work for anyone else again. And that's why I told myself and I told my friends and family, I was like, I'll do whatever it takes so that I don't ever have to go back work for someone else again in my life. And that has been a fuel that I've been constantly burning and keep pushing me forward in this business or any other thing that I do since then. So that's the topic number 2 is mindset. I think mindset is extremely important, but it's really difficult to switch yourself from a mindset of an employee to an employer. A lot of times, big entrepreneurs like Gary Vee say that they believe that entrepreneurs are born. You're born this way, that you never could imagine yourself working for someone, and you always want to be the one creating things and the one solving the problems. And that might be the case. I do believe that some people are created to be entrepreneurs. Maybe they have the better mindset. And I do believe I always had entrepreneur tendencies as well. But I never actually knew that I could do what I do right now until I jumped into it and did. But I think with mindset, at least what helped me a lot is to keep getting motivated, to stay motivated. And the way I did that is I was actually trying to surround myself with people, my social media, everything that I had around me with motivation, constant motivation. And when I fuse my brain with it and then I turn that motivation into action, is that when I think you will be the most successful. If you just consume the motivation, you will never be successful because you will be consuming it without applying it to your life. However, sometimes I do believe we need that motivation to keep going, because a lot of times we're kind of lost in our thoughts and I think that whatever we're going through, whatever the problems we're having with the business or anything else is the specific problems that happen only to us. But when motivational talkers talk, and you have to pick the ones you like, when they talk about the problems or the solutions to the problems, you kind of understand that you're not the only one who's going through these problems. And so everything's gonna be fine and you will be able to figure it out too because someone else already did. Number 3, and I think this one is less of a mindset, less of a personal issue, but more of a general issue. I believe that funding is a big problem when you're starting off business, and I think that's makes sense, right? When I was starting off, I started a business, so wholesaling real estate is a pretty low cost entry business. And that's why there's so many wholesalers out there. But because not a lot of money is required to start this business. So a lot of people started off, some people succeed, some people don't. But that's another thing. Obviously you want a business that doesn't cost you much and that can potentially bring you value back very soon, and that you can quit your 9-to-5 jobs and then have more funding available, and then when you have the funding available, you can start bigger businesses. For example, right now I am starting an Amazon FBA business that I've been working on for the past 5 months, and I actually kind of cover a couple things that we talked about previously in this video. The first two, the organization and mindset, I actually do have them in my planner because I did believe they're very, very important. Here's the planner. I'll put a picture right here. I'm actually in the stage, I'm ordering the sample from the supplier, waiting for the sample, probably gonna be here in another week or so. Pretty excited for that. Hopefully that works out. But what I was going with that is that that requires some funding. That's not exactly the lowest entry cost business, because it took me money to design it, to design the logo, trademark it. It took me money, obviously it's gonna take me money to order it, the supplies, all that stuff. It's not a lowest entry cost business. So I had to get the funding from somewhere else to actually be able to fund this business. And I mean, some people have savings from the 9-to-5 jobs or whatever. I unfortunately didn't really have any savings because I used all my savings when I lost my job back in August of last year, before I started this business. I had no money to live on, so I was using my savings money, which was, I guess it was like a reserve fund, to help me get through. And during that time I started this business and I was able to make it work. So number 4 is progress or scaling your business. Scaling your business gets a little difficult eventually. And the reason why that gets a little difficult is because you have to start trusting other people to do certain parts of your business for you. And you have to hire the right people, and you have to figure all that out, because you can't scale the business if it's just you, one person. And sometimes it's not exactly hire. I mean, you can have a partner, you can have an employee, a virtual assistant or whatever, but you have to have someone. I've never seen someone scale their business to highest heights with just being one person. I don't think that's possible. I don't know, maybe you can prove me wrong if you have any examples, but I believe that it's impossible to scale your business by yourself. I'll give you an example. Like, I started already, I have a VA working for me for the past month and a half. I'm actually hiring another VA at the moment. I actually just posted a job looking for another VA. I could have done this a little earlier, but I didn't feel comfortable. I still feel like I've done it pretty early. I think about 7-8 months inside the business, I actually was hiring my first virtual assistant, which I think is pretty good. But as soon as you have an opportunity, I feel like you should be trying to expand your business. All the money you're making, you should be putting back in the business, and that's the only way the business will be growing and keep feeding you. And number 5, which I think is the most difficult one, this is the one I still struggle with personally till this day. However, it has been much better. It was much worse when I was starting up. So number 5 is stability. Stability is so difficult when you were switching from a job to being a business owner or entrepreneur or freelancer or whatever it is, but pretty much working for yourself when you're gonna be self-employed. The idea that you're getting a check every single Friday or whatever the date is, no matter what, is very comforting. And when you're starting your own business, especially in the beginning, is that you have no stability. You probably will never have stability with business, because even though you can create certain stability things, but there's so much more that can go wrong when you are a business owner or self-employed. Because when you're working for someone, especially if it's a bigger company, you know that you are gonna get your check every Friday. Even though I still believe there's not so much stability as people believe in being an employee. The reason why I believe there's not so much stability is because you technically can get fired any day. For example, in some places like Florida, the employer don't need to tell you why they fired you. They can fire you on the spot with no repercussion. Obviously, there's certain situations if they fire you for any kind of reason that are protected by the federal government, that's one thing. But you know, they can fire you if you've just been working and they didn't like something. They can just fire you and don't have to explain to you why they fired you. So I believe the stability that we create in our mind that you have with regular work as 9-to-5 jobs or whatever is stability that we have created in our minds ourselves, saying, hey, this is very stable, you know, I'm comfortable. Anything can happen. So I think at least when you're working for yourself, you can create that stability for yourself, and you can, because you have no one else to rely on, than yourself. So you have no one else to blame. That's another thing, that's like a bonus thing. So if the business fails, you have no one else to blame than you. You can't just go like, oh, my boss is such a horrible person, this and that. You are the boss. You are the only person in the business that if you don't work, if you don't do the right things, the business will not work, especially in the beginning. Eventually, like I said, it will change. You have more people hired and it's going to be a little bit of a different of a machine. But at the beginning, you are everything. You have to know how to do everything in your business. And like I said, this last one, the stability, is definitely the most complicated one in my opinion, because you could be, you know, like for example, I'll give you an example with wholesale and real estate. 1 week I could be closing 5 deals and then I could be not closing a single deal for the next 2 weeks. And even though I just got paid for 5 deals, and let's say according to my budget, that's 5 deals can last me and my business for the next 5 months. But the problem is, in your head, you get to the point when there's no deals for 2 weeks. You're kind of like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Is this right? I do get into that mindset sometimes, but I do catch myself more often when I get into that mindset, and I fix it really quick. So if you're having that mindset when you're starting off, don't go too harsh on yourself. It's pretty normal, I believe. Just realize that you are still working, and if you're not being lazy and if you're still working, you're doing your best, and whatever's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. And I'm sure if you're working, there's no other option than to succeed. But as always, guys, I appreciate you tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below if you have any questions. I appreciate all of you guys. We're already at 440 subscribers, which is pretty awesome. I didn't think we would be getting here that quick. So I appreciate all of you subscribing and tuning in into the channel. And as always, guys, peace.